Yesterday I was intelligent, so I tried to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I'm trying to change myself. Thank you to the School of Commerce, Finance and Accountancy, respected Dean, Tommy sir, Nithila ma'am, Kavitha ma'am, Anuradha ma'am, Divya, Preethi. I should have brought the black one also. It's fine. Rishikesh sir and Professor Priya, marvelous arrangements. I know how meticulous it was to rearrange a program. Thanks to the rearrangement, we have the main Audi now. I have a dream that my 4 little children, I'm quoting somebody, not my personal. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This is Martin Luther King. Now, yes. So if we were to extend this color of the skin and go beyond, we're talking about religion, we're talking about whatnot. And Tanvi, I'm cognizant of the fact that you're there as well. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me straight away get into the context. So you have said that the color, there's something wrong with the color if I'm wearing it. If this is worn by Akkai, then how many of you raise your hand and say it's fine? Nobody will have the courage to even raise your hand now. We had 3 MCs, 3 different programs, short programs where they said, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is indeed a fabulous morning for us Christites here because we represent about 50% in terms of the population. If you look at the population under 25, 50% is represented here. And what we are transacting here and what we are going to learn and unlearn, I'm sure you will be taking it, we will be taking it outside of the auditorium as well. We have budding chartered accountants who will articulate and help you formulate those policies. We have students in MA Public Policy, Akkai, who will help you and who will probably be, the torchbearers. And Sana, we have people who are actually good in speaking English, good in street play, good in communication. And Tanvi, please do come to our campus. This is the audience who I believe one day, and the earlier the better, will change. If I'm speaking your language, you can give a round of applause. So this small little piece of article or poem, whatever we call, was written about an hour ago. And I want this to be read out. If I'm alive at the end of the final sentence, because I have Akkai on my right and Sana to my left sitting. This is what I wrote. And I've just titled it, Nature is Perfect, People Are Not. And this question is to God. Your creation is such a marvel, a wonder and a mystery. How beautifully beauty is defined, yet for some, it's a misery. Amazing, unfathomable, and beyond the realm of imagination, the flora and fauna coexist with fascination. The leaves are all green, yet the flowers are so different. The trees grow tall to shower fruit so different. Why, alas, are people so diffident in accepting the difference in your creation, oh God? Answer I seek, I cry. Tell me, why did you create them different? Why are they, as a community, so intimidating? Why are they not similar to us? Why are they so demanding, imposing, and threatening? Why are they behaving unlike us? Why did you create them so different that I fear them here, there, at traffic signal, at everywhere? You are my creator, and therefore, please tell them to let us live. Let us live. Let us live. Now hold on. The they here is the majority of the people that you and I belong to. And this is Tanvi, Akkai, and Sana speaking. Why, God, did you create them different? Why are we so intimidating? On that note, my first question is to our own Christ Knight. She has actually done a fabulous research on the entrepreneurial activities and mindset of these trans persons or transgenders, or I would say our community. It's not your community, it's our community. What triggered this idea itself in the first place? And what were the challenges, Professor Preethi, that you faced? And I'm adding the second question. What resilience in their character do you see that make them good entrepreneurs? So this is my first question to you.
Okay. I first thank the School of Commerce and Accountancy for giving me this opportunity. Dr. Tommy K. Kalurikan, Dean, Dr. Nithala Vincent, HOD, and Mr. Rishikesh, sir, for organizing this event. And a huge thank you to my dear guide, Dr. Karthikeya Prakasan. So the first part of the question, what triggered me to take up this particular topic? Number of people asked me this particular question, but only desire that I had before starting my particular PhD was, since we are in the commerce department, we don't get much time, or we don't have that much opportunities to work directly with a social cause of a particular community. So I really had this strong desire that if at all I do a PhD in my future, I really wanted to work something for the community. That is when the transgender community came into the picture, and I really wanted to work something and connect it directly to the commerce stream. So the challenges was to find out the transgender entrepreneurs. So since this is already a minority section in a particular community, finding transgenders who are very successful in the entrepreneurial stream is very difficult. So I initially went and approached 2-3 NGOs and asked them for help to connect me with transgender entrepreneurs. The only thing they told me was, ma'am, you are doing a good study, we will support you. But finding successful transgender entrepreneurs, you might find 1 or 2 in the community. So why are you wasting your time? Let's just focus on another topic. But then I didn't want to give up at that point of time. Again, I sat and did a lot of research about how do I get connected, which are the NGOs that are strongly working with the transgender community. That is when I got in contact with the Periphery organization. I think Tanvi would be knowing about the Periphery organization since she worked closely with it. So Tanvi, so Periphery organization is an organization which basically focuses on creating soft skill training for the transgender community and skilling them to become, to be part of the company organization and also take up the entrepreneurial ventures. So I got in contact with them, and they also they came down to Bangalore. They're based in Chennai. They came down to Bangalore. We had a lot of discussion. And after which they told me that, okay, we will help you, but you also can give a soft skill training. So I definitely gave them soft skill training in one of the venues in Bangalore. And it was a very good, excellent experience. So that is when I got the real satisfaction of teaching the transgender community. After that, I spoke to 2-3 more transgender entrepreneurs. And if all the MCOM students or MA students are familiar with research, you would be knowing about the snowball sampling. So I used the snowball sampling to help connect more with the transgender entrepreneurs, after which I could connect to 5, 6, 7 transgender entrepreneurs. And another huge challenge was I couldn't find more than that. I thought, okay, I think I need to change my topic right now and go talk to my guide because I really couldn't find more transgender entrepreneurs. Then I still didn't wanted to give up on that particular topic. Again, I went back, did a lot of research, and I found out that in Mumbai, there is a particular NGO which focuses only on transgender entrepreneurs. Not only that, they would also set up exhibitions that are solely conducted only for the transgender entrepreneurs. So this gave me, it was a light in a tunnel for me. And when I contacted them, and it was the onset of COVID also, and I couldn't go down to Mumbai and get in connect with them. So I'm so thankful for them that they helped me online, and they gave me a lot of contacts of transgenders who are into entrepreneurship. They are not into a big field of entrepreneurship, but they are into small, like pickle manufacturing. Many are into boutiques, and many are into fashion designing. They are flooded with talent. Honestly, they are flooded with talent. There are so many transgender entrepreneurs. They also have set up camps near Rishikesh. Rishikesh is a place. So many tourists go to that place. They set up camps there and start running a business. So these are the different entrepreneurial activities that the transgender entrepreneurs had taken up. And the last part of the question was on the resilience factor. According to my study, that was one of the objectives, to find out the resilience of transgender entrepreneurs. And the findings of my study, after contacting with them, after taking a lot of interviews with them, the main findings of the resilience factor was the cognitive ability. They were able to definitely cope up with the challenges which they faced, was the cognitive ability. And also the second most important finding was that when people started accepting them as transgender individuals and started supporting them, that gave a really good boost for them to face all the challenges that came their way.
Wonderful. I will also follow it up so that we will have an arrangement that audience as well as Tanvi over there, are glued to one particular speaker, a panelist followed by. So my follow-up question, Professor Preethi, is entrepreneurs by DNA or by instinct, we feel are motivated. Did you find them any different in terms of the motivation level? Of course, they're amazing when they speak on stage, you interact with them with respect to this particular entrepreneurial insight. Are they any different? Would you be able to share some thoughts on that?
Yes, sir. So there were a lot of studies done on male entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs, but little or no study was done on the transgender entrepreneurs. So when we studied the motivational factors of male and female entrepreneurs, there were n number of motivation, like passion to become independent in the society, and also they didn't want to work from 9 to 5 job, so etc., etc. So these were the main motivations of a male male entrepreneur and a female entrepreneur. But for a transgender entrepreneur, some of these motivations were the same, like passion to be an entrepreneur and being independent, etc. But there were few motivational factors which stood up. Was out of 22 transgender entrepreneurs whom I interviewed, 16 of them wanted to forego begging and commercial sex work. They were really not for it. They wanted to come out of it and face the society and enter the mainstream society. And 70% of them wanted to prove that entrepreneurship is non-binary. It's not that only a male and a female entrepreneur can run a business, but also a transgender entrepreneur is capable of running a business. So these were the most main motivational factors.
Thank you, Professor Preethi. Now, let me move over to you, Sana. You said you've been working in various roles, and one of those that struck my imagination is as a HR. Now, with due respects to all the HRs that I have seen in most of the corporates, they don't understand what is required inside the organization. Therefore, they end up recruiting the wrong people. I use the word with due respect, because with 350 companies come to our campus. Now, as an HR, do you look any different when you recruit people because of the fact that you are you?
So, as an HR, I think I would really recommend the companies to have a transgender policy in the company. And that policy is especially for the transgender communities, not only for the trans means, people assume that transgender is an identity where male to female trans people. No, there are so many identities when it comes to our transgender umbrella. There are female born trans men, and there are different identities. So how do we include all those identities together where the enabling environment for the campus or the company, how does it really suits that person? And also, I also, people also say that for the trans people, you should have a separate toilet. So I would also, I, I really don't agree on that, because I claim myself as a woman. So I am very comfort to use that toilet. So I'm okay using it, and my colleagues also okay while using it. But I also tell that yes, there should be a separate toilet where the people are not comfortable using either of that toilets. So that kind of a kind of a consultations needed, because every individual have their own perspectives, and that should not be imposed on a larger sectors of the people. So I think while generating a policy also, we take a multiple people's consultations and opinion, and take to into a larger opinion and make a policy. So that same thing it should be, because there are varieties of opinion. And also in my own campus, in my own company, we have different multiple policies, and we have formed a separate group which is called a wow group in our own company. And that is where I really entered there, and I said that everywhere they say, we will treat you normally, we will treat you as equally with other colleagues, other employee kind of. But I would really recommend, and I have recommended saying that no, there are something which you should really need to look on as separately as well, on different aspects, like example on health issues. And also because we are not in the practice of being with the society with a larger group, because we don't have that exposures, so we have a less exposure. So in that context, we want to have a kind of that exposures of building our own comfort zones in the companies. So these are the areas. And also when we are talking about diverse and inclusivity, we always focus on the so-called men and so-called women diverse in the context. But I would really tell that diverse in sense that there are beyond of that identity as well. When we are beyond in sense, people always get into a kind of when you talk about a diverse inclusion, people say that diverse in sense including of a transgender. No, there are so many diverse that we really need to look on that. Example include trans men and trans women, other bisexuals, and other people who are into different attires but having a different feelings. So our Supreme Court also talks about the self-identification. So how do we look on those identifications? Do we really accept those identities, or how do we are going to combat on those things? So these are the areas where we need to look on the HR perspective.
Okay. Just a follow up on this particular, I'm just curious, probably the audience here are as well. when you are in a HR, you said in the film field, they give you only the transgender related roles. In serials, they only give you that particular role. How is it in your corporate world?
See, I would really want to highlight over here also that I think in one film I acted, which is Ratnan Prapancha, Kannada film. Akkai was also part of that film. I really didn't recommend it, and I didn't really said my friends to watch that movie because I have a friend circle of like so-called cis women and cis men. I mean, like you, like you people. So I, in my company also, I have revealed my identity in certain areas, and I have not revealed my identity because it's not necessary. Look as me as a woman because I have followed certain norms which has been told by the society. Wearing earrings, wearing sari, don't I look like a woman? Then accept me as a woman only. But at the same context also, I would really maintain that identity as a woman. And suddenly in this film, I'm performing as a transgender, which doesn't have any lead role also, where you go and act as a transgender identity itself. And I don't want to tell my friends, they see, look, I have been acted. Yes, I have acted, but I don't want to tell again saying that, yes, I'm still in that identity. I want to come beyond that identity, like mother or sister, even I heroine, whatever that is there. So that really I'm looking for. So that is the kind of a notion where always it's been in this film industry also. They, if a transgender is like, you be a villain or you be a comedian. Either you should be arrogant and you should fight with equally to the villain, and you should be a comedy, you should perform comedian in this. So I would say that we are capable and eligible to perform better than that as well. So that is the way. And you
Just to add to this point, so in your corporate world,
mm,
you're more accepted, and because you're performing and you're performing as good as or better than the others. So if there is a change of role, you have to represent your organization for a discussion or interaction. Are you able to break through this particular beyond? Have you succeeded in that?
yes, yes, I have done it because see, when I entered in my company, I was not given that kind of opportunities to be part into different programs within the organization of my company. This wow itself was also for the disabled people and for the diverse kinds and women people. So I went into company. I said, when this is something, wow is a special program, I think we also need to be part of that special program where I can also put my kind of perspectives and my ideas. So how do we can break that kind of notions and also make the communities be more inclusive and give a space of opportunities for other people. So that is where I've been part of that wow team. And I have been asked by my own company to sensitize my own managers and company directors. So that is where I'm just breaking my all this kind of stereo notions. And here today they have given me to recruit the transgender peoples to my own companies. But again, like there's a challenge over here. When it comes to companies like our company, I look for the aviation business. So when I look for an aviation business, obviously you know what kind of profiles they are looking for. They look for engineers, and they look for software, and they look for data analysts, and the high profiles they look, and the high experience. But again, your challenge for me, how do I look for those profiles within my communities? There are very less. So I would also recommend, I have recommended in my organization so that the working class communities to be more inclusive so that they build a confidence. See, for in my example itself, I was not a graduated person. I joined the company as well as an undergraduate person. I pursued my education. I completed my master. I was working and I was going for evening college. That's where I build up my profile. So I have presented my example, and that is where they have been incorporated in their policy, and they are now, we are looking for to recruit the working class communities, and from there, how we can also generate and give an opportunities for better other communities.
Wow. Akkai, she's a good friend of mine. Akkai Amma, Dr. Akkai. People know by I call Akkai. She brought the entire KU Auditorium to tears last time she was here on March 8th, 2020, and I had to hand her over a handkerchief. So this time I'm giving it in advance. No crying this time. Now, when I was driving, dear Christ Knights, I was driving to Christ University 3.5 years ago, and my son was about to attend the interview. He has now passed out of this college with having done his undergrad program. We reached Richmond Circle. How many of you know the Bangalore side? Richmond Circle, yeah. So we were stuck at Richmond Circle. And then comes these angels. You know, you've seen all these angels who you think, you know, are there to disrupt your progress. And I had 30 seconds counting down. And I have this habit of, you know, giving, you know, I don't call you beggars. I call people who bless us and you get paid for that. So I told my son, you know, hand it over. So I gave this 50 rupees note or something, and I said, you give it. And I had a selfish intention behind it. And the moment, you know, you give your daughter or your son or your wife, of course, even you give, you know, they bless you. And sometimes they, you know, they put their hand over your forehead. And the other day, my wife gave 100 rupees. And it was at Yelahanka, and
No, they give return 100.
they gave return, but they gave something that, you know, I had to pull her legs on. She said, Dirka Sumangali Bava. I said, you have to torture and bear with me for a longer period. So the blessing, for my son, when he gave this 50 rupees, he was tensed about coming in, attending the interview. How will I face her? Because knowing that his dad is someone who will not even influence the selection. And they come and they put your, you know, you put your hand over them and bless them. Who are you? How different are you? You know, it's a mystery to me. I just want my students to know that traffic signals are not a dangerous place. Those are the places where you don't go to the temple, temple comes to you in the form of these people.
Professor Peter, I remember this song, What a Life, 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 la 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 la. So life is questioning. Do you know how to applause? Do you know how to laugh? Louder. Do you know how to whistle? Do you know how to cry? So, Professor Peter, your kerchief belongs to all of us. I meant my emotions, my feelings, my power, my poverty, my discrimination, my gender injustice, everything has to be shared in society. I'm not different. I don't want to be different. I want to be a just common human being. When Christ University have this space or has this space, why not others? Why not families? Why not the world or corporate? Why not the government? Why not the political party system? Why not our policies? Why not the so-called rulers? So in that per se, as I mentioned, I think personally I may not belong, like believe in this whole amount of blessings and stuff like that. Just an example to show before. I want 5 rupees, please. Can someone give me 5 rupees? I'm in need now. I want 5 rupees.
This is 200 rupees. Give me back 195 rupees because you are no different.
Now, I was in need of 5 rupees. For me, immediately the man who, who gave is 200 rupees, which was more than expected.
No, 195.
One nimsha irri. So I was in need. I got this money. So she or he becomes my god or goddess. You get it? So the amount of blessings, the amount of thing, whatever. Thank you, Nange Beda.
ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ವಾಪಸ್ ಕೊಡಿ.
No, I just wanted to tell you an example. So now see, that's what the whole amount of, what do you call swartate? Swartate in English and selfishness. The selfishness, only you accept in the context of culture. You want our blessings. You want all our good things. But when it's come to social status, why you're discriminating against us? Why there is not access to the public transportation? Why there is no access to the family members? Why we have been thrown out of your family sectors? Where is my education? Where is my employment? Where is my equal spaces when I'm going to occupy my positions? So this lives with the amount of questioning back the notion of gender stereotype. I would really want to thank the Christ management, the dean of the institution, and specifically the department and my dearest friend, Rishikesh and Professor Peter, for having us to speak about this. And as I mentioned, the issue of commerce, economic, accountability, finance, whatever, it belongs to the human world. And in the human world, who is most voiceless, who is most oppressed, who is most vulnerable, it has to be prioritized in that context. Then the economic sustainability shall go in a way that what exactly we are trying to. But I liked your thought, Professor, that you said the future auditors you mentioned?
Auditors, we have
Policy makers, yeah.
we
I
have-
think I expect you to be part of this larger marginalized sections group because you are going to play a vital, wide, nurturing and nurturing people's issue. I remember Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. I remember Mahatma Gandhi ji. They said any policy, any act, it has to be from the context of the poorest of the poor. If that we are going to do justice, automatically the socially it balances. In that context, I really want to specify myself as a transgender, but I'm here as a human rights activist. I'm a woman. I want to question back society's notion. I want to be the voice of the voiceless, as you mentioned, unheard voiceless, right? Now, unheard I too, you can hear my voice. Ashte.
In fact, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's voice, it's a quote, he said, Swabhimana Swavalambana Illada Manava Jivanta Shavadante. How many of you know that? Or Swami Vivekananda said, he alone lives. Now again, this he is we. He alone lives who lives for others. The rest are more dead than alive. So how many of you are looking at, my dear Christites, trying to at least leave this auditorium with the mindset of wanting to at least begin to think different, wanting to at least begin to think different. I'm not expecting to be transformed just like that. Can you raise your hand? That is the memento that we'll be giving them, right? So this is from our side, yeah. So before I throw it open for the Q&A, I would want to bring in Tanvi over here. Thank you for bearing with us. I wish you were here. So Tanvi, you said, in fact, what touched me and I had goosebumps was your mother went and challenged, questioned, and as to why my kid was actually sent to the police station. So how did your family take to it the first time they knew that, you're talking about the dysphoria? How did they stand with you and how much did it mean to you?
So they didn't take it well, let me be honest, because see, they come from a very different generation. They didn't have information, they didn't have Google, they didn't have that knowledge. They came from a small town, they grew up in a small town. So they weren't, for them, a trans person is a hijra person, right? And while I was growing up, I was meant to be afraid of them. That is how I was, my upbringing was in a small town. So my mom didn't take it well. My dad thought it's a phase. Maybe someday it will go away. So we didn't talk about it, but they were still there. They supported me in the sense that, okay, they still continued. They didn't throw me out. They continued to support me. They continued to support my education. But as a byproduct of that, as soon as I finished my master's degree, I stepped out of the house. For 6 years, I stayed away from them because I was not comfortable. And I was sure they won't be comfortable with my gender identity. And it was just around a couple of years back when I brought my mom back, I mean, to stay with me. It took me at least a year or so to make her comfortable with my gender identity. I've still not spoken to my dad about it. I don't know how that conversation will go, or I don't even want to have that conversation, but he knows everything and he is clear about it. And the best thing is, I came from a lower middle class family, so I had to build everything myself. We don't have a house, we don't have anything. So everything that I have built myself. I take care of them. I have an elder brother. I also help him out. So my financial independence was something that brought me my freedom, right? So after you get to that point and you start taking care of them, and I'm being very honest, I have told my mom that if you're not comfortable with it, leave. I've been at that level that, see, this is what you need to learn to live with. And then I did a few things to make her comfortable. So I realized that they are not people who will Google everything and understand. But they understand from television. So they're glued to the television. So I showed them a few good representative movies. It could be good shows, whether it be Ghazal Dhaliwal's episode of Satyamev Jayate, Nyan Meri Kuti, though I don't agree with Jayasuriya playing a trans woman, but that movie was very sensitive. And by the end of it, my mom was in tears. And she was like, what all my child has to go through just to live in the society. And then I figured out the root of it is not because she is afraid of my gender identity or she doesn't accept it. She was afraid of how my child will be treated by the society. That was her fear. And to get rid of that fear, what I did was I invited a few friends to my house. I invited them and I was being my authentic self. I was all dressed up, decked up. I was Tanvi. And when she saw that they are comfortable with it, they were being, initially they were also kind of apprehensive, but then they got so comfortable. That is when she realized that my child is never going to end up alone. My child will always have someone. My child will not be isolated. My child will not be mistreated. They have someone to support. That is when it was like, I'm really good with it. She said that I don't really care what your gender is. I don't really care. You are my child. You'll always remain my child. And so be what you want to be happy, be safe, take care of yourself. And I'm always there to support you. So it was a journey. It was like 1.5 year good journey to
Right.
get
So
her there.
just a very quick follow-up, and if I can have a very quick answer on this. You mentioned that, the byproduct of being yourself and you're reaping those rewards. I understand that, being alone is not a problem. Being lonely, is the
Is a
issue.
problem.
That's the real problem. And who more than, your family members to stand with you? I do not know whether I have the courage and I have the authority or anything, but since, like Akkai said, this is my world, so I'll say what I want. I'm inviting you to take a session for my insurance students. I'm the insurance
Yeah.
coordinator in the department here. So I would request you to one day take a session on a topic
Sure.
that we can definitely discuss.
Definitely. Yep.
Students, so session will be booked. So We could, thank you, Tanvi, due to shortage of
Thank you.
time, but you have given us real value, during that short presentation of yours and the interaction. And staying muted for a long while on your monitor is the real challenge. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I could probably very quickly, Rishikesh sir, how much time do I have? Oh, good. So maybe I will follow it up with you. I have some more time, Tanvi. So can you tell me, when you say online education, that was your first job was the tutorial.
Yeah.
Did you reveal who you are? And did that matter if at all you did?
No, I didn't. So it was pretty much an online space. And I was teaching statistics to students from Philippines, US, UK, and all of those. And it was pretty much a night shift. So apparently they chose me for voice process as well. So before that, it was not voice process. They just thought that it would be better. But I never took that. I never took a voice session because I said my headphone doesn't work, my mic doesn't work, or something else I came up with. I never took a voice session until I left that organization. Even my previous organization, for 6 years, no one knew about my gender identity. It took me 6 years to just accept it. And I spoke only to the senior management about it. So none of my colleagues knew about it. Unfortunately, I had to move on from that place because they didn't have a D&I agenda back then. And after I left, I got to know from my manager that they formed the D&I council, and they were like, we really regret losing you. You were an asset, and all of that happened later. And then my new organization, it is a pretty inclusive place. It has all the policies in place. It has gender neutral washrooms, infrastructure, healthcare policies, and everything in place. But nonetheless, I realized I'm the first trans person in that organization. An organization of worldwide 20,000 people, in India 6,000 people, I'm the only trans person. So it was an adventure in itself because I got to consult on a lot of policies. I got to consult on a lot of changes. So that was a journey. But nonetheless, I realized that being invisible is not an option. You have to be there. Otherwise, it's very easy to get pushed across to the margins if you're invisible. And when you have the privilege of education and being able to articulate your thoughts, why not use it for the benefit of the larger community?
Oh, great. I was just looking at the stats. This is applause coming from the audience. Yeah, for him. Yeah.
Or, yeah, that's okay. It happens a lot.
About that. Yeah. So the 4.5% of the population are football players at some professional level, I'm told. But for every lakh, you have 9 trans persons who have actually revealed or available for our stats. So that brings me to the point that Sana was mentioning that, when I'm the first and you people applaud, which is a sort of not an applause, which is actually the reality that we are talking, that if you start becoming, excelling in various fields and people start applauding, which is not a good sign, it should go to such a level that people don't notice it.
Exactly. So just while this session was happening, a friend messaged me. I told her that I'm in an event and she's like, okay, you're famous. I was like, see, I'm not famous, I'm privileged. And secondly, I'll be really happy the day I'm not famous. I will be really happy then when there will be like thousands of Tanvi just speaking out their voices. I don't want to be called as a first person, and even if I'm called a first person for something, I want it to replicate so much that people forget about me being the first person. That will be the day where we come back into the mainstream, where everyone will be included.
Right. So thank you so much for that. So the true visibility lies in one day becoming invisible.
Exactly.
Fantastic.